Teeny Pony Tales.
Who's there? Scary or what? She said her name was Aunt Prudence. Worse still, she said she was my Aunt Prudence and that she was moving in at once to look after me, whatever I like it or not. I don't think I have an Aunt Prudence. I tried to explain politely because I'd always been taught to speak nicely to my elders, even if they were glaring at me through their flying goggles as if I was something unpleasant that had been torn into the carpet wouldn't come. Just to be clear, I didn't. No matter how hurt youth rabbit, that wouldn't have mentioned it. Are you sure you've come to the right house? Of course I am. You confused pest, she said. Your idiot of a father decided to go off on a round the world voyage, and he's asked me to look after you until he gets back. But I started to say because that absolutely did not sound like sort of thing Dad would do, and I knew him better than she did. I knew him better than anyone. No bats, she shouted, because no one listened to you when you're small and wear glasses. All that batting will run into a goat. Now shut up and get out of my way, boys. Make my ears bleed. Then she shoved me out of the way and barged right in without even whipping her feet, treading on my toes in her famous black hobnail boots as she passed. She immediately made herself at home by demanding that I put all my stuff out of sight to make more room for her really quite enormous collection of hobnail boots. Soon it felt more like her home than mine, and that didn't feel like a home at all. Aunt Prudence was very strict. She insisted that I eat all my meals with knife and fork, even if it was soup or cheese and onion crisps. She refused to let me watch cartoons on TV, only long documentary about history, and if she'd known that those were my favorite programs, then she would have let me watch them either. I never saw her smile, and she once had to lie down in the dark room for an hour when she heard me laughing because it upset her so much. Jokes brought her out in a rush. She had note from a doctor to prove it. She was no way Dad would have gone away and left me at mercy of such a dreadful person. If she could help it, even if she was my aunt. She said she had proof it was true, but she never produced it. No matter how many times I asked, instead, Aunt Prudence spent her days snooping around the house, opening cupboard doors, looking under beds, digging in the garden. She was obviously looking for something, and I was determined to find out over what it was. A week after Dad disappeared, I finally got a chance to do that. Achoo! It was late night, and I was lying in my bed trying hard to sleep. That isn't easy when your mind is churning around and round like a washing machine with too many dirty clothes inside. It was every harder when there's strange noise above your head. What's up going on there? I got up and tiptoed on to the landing, then climbed ladder to the attic. Up there was where Dad had stashed away Mom's things after she died. I hadn't been allowed in since he told me that I should try to forget what she'd said about monsters being real and try to live an orderly life instead. I hadn't been happy about it. But what could I do? Dad had the only key and I was no good at picking locks with a bad paperclip. Aunt Prudence must have found the key during one of her searches of the house because the hatch was now unlocked. Peeking through the gap, I watched Aunt Prudence crawling on her hands and knees between huge, teetering piles of boxes as armies of spiders fled away in sheer terror. At the sight of her, each time she came to a new box, the door it opened and rummaged inside, flinging everything aside in for furious indignation. When she couldn't find what she was looking for, muttering under her breath all the while, "Where is it? Where is it?" Dust was thrown about in the musty air as if it was trying to itself into a genie. I made an effort not to sneeze. It didn't help. If there was one thing that occurred to me, you sneeze is trying not to. My nose twitched, and if I was a rabbit, which I'm definitely not, as you can tell from the pictures. I rubbed it once, I rubbed it twice, both times I simply breathed in more dust. The third time, my nose decided it had enough. It exploded. The sneeze was mighty enough to bring Aunt Precious to her feet. She promptly banged her head on the rafters. "You!" she yelled. She reached into the next box and grabbed the first thing she came to hand. That happened to be some sort of long silver horn. I didn't have time to wonder why there was a silver horn, long or otherwise, in our attic before she hurled it straight at me. I managed to shut the hatch at the last moment, or the below would have sent my glasses flying and made head with it. Then I slid down the ladder as fast as I could and speed to my room with Aunt Prudence in hot pursuit. Heart pounded, I locked myself inside as she rattled the handle and snarled through the keyhole. I'll get you in the morning, Jack. You see, if I don't. That's probably why I had what can only be described as mixed feelings when my alarm clock didn't go off the next day and I crept down the stairs late to find an ogre sitting in the back garden getting ready to eat her. Look! I'd never encountered a real life monster in the flesh before unless you included Aunt Produce, and I, I can't think of a good reason why you wouldn't. So then I tell you that he was the biggest and scariest brute I'd never seen in my life. That probably isn't saying much. But his skin was green and lumpy, like 9-day-old mold. He had disgusting yellow tusks that looked as if they'd never heard of toothpaste, let alone touch in the last 100 years, and he was wearing what had to be one of the world's top 5 monsters sword and their teeth Paris of browsers. And Produce was getting an even closer look at the ogre, and that I was because he'd picked her up tightly in his fist like a chocolate bar and was opening his mouth as if to bite off her head. As she struggled to get free, kicking her legs in misery and crying, "Let me go! Don't just stand there! Do something!" She shouted when she saw me. If I'm honest, and I usually am, I couldn't help thinking that getting eaten would serve her right for being so mean. In fact, I felt a bit sorry for the ogre because someone as sore and nasty as Aunt Precious was bound to give him a worse case of indigestion. But a whole vinegar and raw onion pie right before bedtime. Lucky for her, I'm not the sort of boy who stands idly by while monsters eat people, not even foul-tempered ants. I ran inside and grabbed my school bag from the coat standing. Then I knew down to see if there was anything in there that might help fighting a ravenous, oversized monster. Conikers, not strong enough. Pencils, not bad, but the tips were all broken. And I'd lost my sharpener. A 4-ball caught up by a cat. Urgh! What was that doing there? Wait, what was this right at the bottom? A catapult. Just the thing. The catapult had been a present from Dad for my last birthday. I'd been surprised when he gave it to me because he normally didn't like me playing with anything more perilous than a rubber duck. Giving it to me wasn't his idea, he admitted. The catapulta had once belonged to Mom. It was she who'd wanted me to have it. You never know when it might come in handy, I suppose. Where his precise word today wasn't that day. Running back into the garden, I found a nice sharp rock, fitted it into the catapult, and fired it at the organ head. The rock hit him right between his eyes. Plop! Ouch! Said Organ. Ouch, 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 ouch. Then he dropped down dead. All fall down. For a moment, I stood there, starting dumbly, unable to move, overwhelmed with a feeling that I can only describe as panic. I felt that I should say something, but oops, didn't seem the right word in the here comments, and sorry was a bit late. Only word I could think of was that one. Those words that children are not meant to say out loud even when they have killed an organ. What had I done? I'd only meant to distract him for long enough so that Aunt Prudence could escape from his clutches. Instead, I'd kill him. I felt sick. I felt scared. I'd never killed an ogre before. I'd never killed anything. What made matter worse is the organ has dropped out dead backwards, which meant that he landed on top of the house. There was a huge crash. No, it was much bigger than more like a crash. And the air was filled with flying rubble and glass and bricks. When the dust cleared, I saw that my house was completely destroyed. You believe her? Need come, Pop! Cried Aunt. Produce climbed her feet and whipping the dirty from her flying giggles that she could scowl at me more spitefully for them. Look what you've done! She didn't even say thanks you for saving her from having to spend the rest of the morning in an ogre's belly. She simply turned on her heels and stamped off down the road, yelling for taxi. I was left wondering how I was supposed to clean up this mess when I could even get a dustpan and brush from under the stairs because the stairs weren't there anymore. And even anything else except for a large pile of rubble. That's what you get for trying to help people, I said, a voice behind me. If you ask me, you should just let them all be eaten.